stream is cleared for takeoff.
Hi, hey everyone, welcome to our stream. This is our monthly live developer Q&A. Now we're coming at you both on YouTube and Twitch today. We are really excited about that, so we hope everything goes well. Sorry for that little blip earlier. Hopefully it's all fixed for you. I'm thrilled to see everyone in chat. Lots of new gamer tags and stuff I'm seeing in YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jane. I am the Senior Community Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator, of course, moderating today's stream. Before we get started, we got three awesome people on panel. I'm sure most of you know them already, but we'll go ahead and introduce them anyway. We're going to start on the right. We have Marcel Boussard, Executive Producer. Welcome, Marcel. How are you doing?
Fine, Brave. I'm very pleased to be with you tonight.
Thank you for joining. And in the middle, we have Sebastian Vlock. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for joining as well. And of course, last but not least, we have Jorg Newman, head of Microsoft Flight Sim. Jorg, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks for joining us. Excited to be here in glorious 1080p.
Woohoo!
Oh, wow.
Panel's low. Turn you guys up. Well, chat, now that we're both on YouTube and Twitch, I'm curious, go ahead and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm curious about all the different countries and stuff that we have represented here today. I'm sure it's a lot of different areas. Go ahead and type that in chat and I'll tell you a little bit more about today's stream. Wow, it's popping off there. We have a little less than, I think, 8 weeks away from the launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So we're really excited to have our first official developer stream where we can finally answer some of your 2024 questions. So we have several topics to cover, of course, and different dedicated Q&A segments. So today we do ask that you hold your question until the appropriate section. Our moderators will post in the chat what sections we're going to cover today so you can see where your question might fit in. And just a reminder that this is not going to be our only, 2024 Q&A stream before launch. So if we don't get to your question, if we can't answer it, or we just aren't able to answer it today, there of course will be certainly other opportunities to ask again, or you might have your question answered in some different way before launch. So we're really excited. Wow, there's a lot of different countries. Thank you for sharing those. That's awesome. I think we should go ahead and get started. Jorg, I'll go ahead and hand the mic off to you for our presentation.
Yeah, like so often recently, I just want to say thank you. The first thing, we have a lot to be thankful for, actually. The first thing, and I was actually kind of surprised by it. Just on Sunday, we had the highest engagement on Flight Sim 2020 all year. It was not what I expected, but hey, I hope everybody is really excited about Flight Sim, and it sure seems that way. And then since we last spoke, we had a preview event. I think you guys probably read about it at the Grand Canyon. It was really awesome. We had 100 creators and press. I, of course, wish everybody could have been there. It was really something else. But I think the attendees did a great job capturing what we had to say about the new sim and even the event themselves. All of us three spent all last weekend, a lot of last weekend, watching everything was created. The reaction was super positive. And I just want to say, you can't imagine how much of a boost this is for all the teams, because we're now, as Jane said, just 8 weeks away from launch, and this type of anticipation and positive feedback is really great. Thank you for that. So everybody's pushing as hard as possible to make the experience fantastic. Then if you look at the next slide, we actually, I don't know if we really advertised this much, but we actually went on pre-order on Thursday last week, but only on the one store. And we have the super cool CL415 pre-order item that you can try out on Flight Sim 2020 if you so wish. I got a lot of positive feedback on it, so it seems like people are having fun. So most of today's session is based on 2024, but we always said we're going to support Flight Sim 2020. So there's going to be a little section and even a developer visit before we get started with 2024. Oh, Jen, you can just breeze through those slides. This is the plane grid, just in case you didn't see that. We actually updated it with the Aviator edition. These are all the different editions we're making, yada, yada, yada. There were not many questions about this today. This is the It's actually somewhat limited. I just want to say that. I bought a few actually over the last few days, and this is the limited collector's edition. It's made by with our partners at Airsoft. Just saying, it's selling really well. If you want one of those, I bought like 14 for Christmas gifts and stuff, but there's not that many, just 5,000. Okay, so 2020. So since we last met, we launched World Update 18 with Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We had what I think a really nice plane, which is the Focke-Wulf 200 Condor. Then Jane and Sean they were in Cologne. Seb and I were trying to go, but we couldn't make it. It was too much work. But we had our little session with folks that are super hardcore fans. So that seemed fun, Jane. Yeah, I don't know.
It was a blast. I had a good time.
Yeah, and then we launched the 707. Got the feedback. There's some feedback. I know Airplane Heaven. I just want to say something like the Airplane Heaven guys. They tried really hard. I know the INS is not what people want, or it's not there. We will continue to work on this and listen to the feedback as always. But I got all the feedback both in the chat, and I also got a long report. But if you go to the next slide, I wanted to say at least there's a little something. I'm personally super happy that we got Pan Am. It was sort of a little surprise in there, but we're going now put the Pan Am livery on all the planes we've made, like the A310, for example, has it, and a whole bunch of other planes we already made. So makes me happy, history of aviation. I love it. Okay, so this is our grid where we are, and we're going to fill the last few boxes today. Not much more to say about this. The AAU3, I just checked in with the test team. It is ready to go into cert. So we have to go through certification, which is just another step. But basically the 3 planes we're doing, if you want to scroll, Jane. So this is the INI builds A310, the A320neo, and then Hans has been working on the Pilatus PC6 update. It's basically done. We're just waiting for cert to do it, and we're launching it next week. And then we promised for a long time that we would do an ATR update, and here it is. So the 42-600 stall and the 72-600 freighter. And Hans is here to give us a little bit more detail.
Yes.
Hello.
Hans, welcome to the stream. Glad you could join
Hello.
us. How are you doing today?
Fine, I'm great. Thanks for having me. So,
Yeah, tell us about the ATR update.
yeah. Well, this is mostly an update on the model side. Of course, there are bug fixes and also a few new features, but the big part is the model. First, I would like to start. Oh, okay. We have 6 new variants of the aircraft. The 42-600S, the stall version, stands for short takeoff and landing. The 72-600F, the freighter version of the ITR 72, and 2 highline configuration, means business class configurations, for the 42-600 and 72-600 each. So can you go to the next? Yeah. These are the 2 versions of the 42-600 highline. On the upper left, you see a business kind of configuration with a table for each seat, including power sockets for laptops. On the 2 lower images show the highline free configuration, which is on the left economy as usual, and on the right 2-1 abreast business class configuration. We have the same for the 72, this time with 28 instead of 18 seats for the Highline 2 configuration, and 12 business class and 36 business seats in economy class. So next is the stall version. This one is basically 42-600 with the engines, or with engines that equal the 72-600. Means they have 2,750 shaft horsepower, which is a significant increase over the normal 72,600, normal 42,600. And at 70% load factor, it just takes 800 meters for takeoff. So good, easily or better use for on smaller airports. And it also has a larger rudder for easier control when approaching the on final approach to in crosswind conditions. Okay, and the freighter next. Okay, the 72-600 freighter is what a lot of you wanted for a long time now. It fits up to 7 containers or 5 standard pallets. The large cargo door in front of the propeller on the left side is there. And the original passenger door on the rear is pretty much the same. It just comes without stairs. So better for loading and unloading of cargoes. Other than that, it doesn't have windows, of course, but there's no big difference to the other 72-600 variants. Of course, all this is supported in the EFB for the payload settings, and you can load each of the variants properly. Okay, this last one is a new feature which I'm not sure about. I would like to show this in live, which is better, yes. So the MFD has a map feature. It always had. I don't know how many people used or found it even. And you always could go there, select your parking stand, and use it for navigation on the airport. What's new about this is that in plan mode, that's this one, it's always pointing north. You can actually you can actually move around the airport now and use it as a navigation chart. You can click on where your gate is, the gate that is selected, back to the airport, to the airplane, and up there it is. So, and find the best way that there is to get there. This wasn't possible with before Sim Update 15. There was a small but very effective bug in this. So we are happy to announce that this feature is now working as well. A short look on the EFB. This is a normal Highline version, so you now have the passenger numbers according to the matching the airplane. It shows the full title up here, no longer just 42,600 and 72,600. So all new variants are supported. Yeah, this is pretty much what is new about the ATR. I won't go over the bug list now, but there are quite a few that have been fixed. So I hope you're going to like it.
Thanks, Hans. We had a couple questions in chat. The first one, for those who already own the ATR, they were curious if this update is going to be free or paid.
It's free. of course.
Awesome. And the second question, for those who have purchased the ATR in 2020, will they be able to fly it in 2024?
Yep, and we'll get to that later more, but yes.
Awesome. Hans, thank you so much for showing that off. We're really excited for the ATR update coming soon and appreciate you joining us today.
Oh yeah, when is it coming, Hans? I signed you up for
Yeah.
10/10, my friend. Come on, enough time. It's close. You saw it. Like, it's in pack testing now, but
Yeah. Okay.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Hans. Take care. All right. Now it's time to hop into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Very exciting. We have a ton of different Q&A topics. So we're going to go ahead and start with some technical questions. So of course, we already have gathered a lot of questions, but chat, feel free to ask some live questions right now related to anything technical, or if we explain a question and you're curious about something about that answer, feel free to ask now. All right. So this is just showing our min, recommended, and ideal specs. I think a lot of you have seen this already floating around the internet as of last week. There's lots of questions about this. The first one being, why is 64 gigabytes the ideal amount of RAM, and does more RAM help performance? Who'd like to take this one?
I think that was on me.
Sure.
Yeah, 64 is ideal. That's why we put it as ideal. The sim will not use 64 gigabytes, just to make sure. That was not what we meant. So I mean, I have a 32 gig machine and it works very well. The issue is that when I have the sim running and I have some other software running and maybe I do some recording, then it starts to be quite glitchy. And so that's why I think we recommended, ideally, if you want to put everything to max, ultra, and push every option to the max detail, and you want to be comfortable maybe running or streaming or doing some recording for video or so, or even just having email, you want to have more than that. So that's why we said ideal. But I'm pretty sure that on 32, that's what we said as recommended. It's going to work very fine. So that's why recommended is 32. Yeah. So I don't think people should not understand, hey, I need to get 64. No, if you want to make sure you can run several software at the same time and you don't have some lag all of a sudden, and then I mean I have only 32, and when I run two or three big software plus the sim, sometimes it just freezes for 2 seconds, and that's when you don't have enough memory. So that's why we said it's 64.
That makes sense. Thanks, Seb. I see this question in chat now, but it's similar to our next question is, what are the resolution and target outputs for minimum recommended and ideal PC specs?
So yes, I can answer to that. So the goal is to have at least 30 FPS on all the configurations. The min specs, the target resolution was 1080p with a low preset, and we also get a rounded scale to 70%. Regarding the recommended, it's 1440p with a graphic quality preset set to high. And for the ideal spec, so this is 4K and in ultra. Well, what I can say is I said that the frame rate target was 30 FPS, but we already know that we are above with the ideal spec and the ultra settings. It's more like between 40 and 50 already, and we still have to find some optimization. So I think this has been also communicated in some forums, right? I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll get that written out for an FAQ, but that's great to know.
And if I can add to that, I think on one or maybe several of the previous Q&As, we've been asked if we could add a system to have automatically adaptive detail with the frame rate target. So this is now present in 2024. And so, for example, if we set a render target over 30, it's going to automatically adjust the detail to keep it over 30 or 60 or whatever the user chooses as a, or it can be disabled if one doesn't like it. But this also helps to achieve a stable frame rate, because in the sim there's areas where it's always going to be super fast, and then there's areas where it's much heavier, and so it's good to have this new system where the detail automatically adjusts.
Okay. All right. A live question: how is the new sim utilizing multi-core CPUs, as ideal config is 12 cores or higher?
A lot. I can say that I have only 8 cores on my PC. I mean, on one of my dev PCs, and it's always very high, right? So I think 2020 used to be quite often at 50% or so. Yeah, here I'm I'm right now Heathrow Airport. I'm at 81, 83, 80. So you see, it's using a lot more of the cores. So that's why I think we went up also in the recommended specs, is to have more. More is better. And so yeah, all the computation went a lot more multi-thread, whether it's physics or world simulation or rendering, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of questions about access to the SDK, and actually quite a bit of SDK questions. So, do you have any comments on that?
We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Okay, no problem. So we will answer some of that. Next question I have, live question, is the specs table you published doesn't cover specs for VR. Could you add that in or compare it performance-wise to 2020?
That's true. We didn't talk about that. The goal here is to have the same kind of performance ratio that what we had in 2020. So basically, well, it's the same. The fact that in VR it's so different, because depending of the headset you've got, you don't have the same resolutions. You don't. So it's more hard to. We should do some min spec per headset, but basically it will work like it was in 2020. The same kind of performances ratio.
Okay.
We'll take that as an action item, though.
And here again, the adaptive detail is really cool in VR, because it allows you to have a much more stable frame rate. Yeah,
that's right.
True. Okay. All right. Next question. What are the resolution and performance targets on Xbox consoles? What can Series S owners expect, especially?
So I think it's on S it's 1080p, and on X it's 4K.
Okay.
That's right.
Frame rate target is 30.
Okay, thank you. On Xbox, can we expect the same performance and memory-related stability issues in FS24 as in 2020? What optimizations have been made to make the new level of fidelity possible on Xbox consoles?
So yeah, so the optimizations are across the board. Additionally, on Xbox specifically, we have the new GDK, which gives us 500 megs. We also have an optimization which gives us access to virtual memory on S and X. That's 2 more gigs of available memory. And so this really helps in terms of stability and also, I mean, performance, having just more memory. We also now so that's across the platforms, but on Xbox it really helps a lot. We only now load into memory the LODs on a mesh that is actually seen. So on 2020, if a plane has 5 LODs, all 5 are in memory, and in 2024 only the one which is actually seen is in memory. And the same for textures. We have now I think it's called MIP streaming. So a MIP map, a texture has the same. A texture has LODs or different resolutions, and we now only hold in memory the MIP maps which are seen and don't load the ones which we don't need. So that also helps a lot on memory. So overall, we have a lot of optimizations that help compared to 2020 that happen on Xbox.
Awesome, thank you, Seb. All right, another live question. I understand somewhat the move to DX12, curious if DX11 will be available for lower end PCs, because DX11 is consistently more stable in DX12 currently in 2020. Will it not be available in 2024 at all?
It will not. No, the rendering pipeline that we've got now is using all the features that DirectX 12 is offering.
Mm-hmm. So we expect DX12 in 2024 to perform much better than currently in 2020.
That's the target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so for example, the MIP streaming, the texture streaming, is something which can only be done in 12. And and we have optimized a lot to DirectX 12, and we're using only 12 all the time. So it's a lot more. It's got a lot more focus and testing and stability.
So someone says, is DX12 going to be out of beta? I assume that. Yes, then.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay. Another live question: will 2024 support Microsoft Direct Storage?
I don't have the answer for that.
Okay, we'll put a pin on that question for later.
Yes.
Next question: Microsoft 2024's reliance on online access for far more assets presumably means that a server outage is likely to affect far more users than the current server outages do. At present, a lot of assets are stored on our system, whereas this will no longer be the case. How feasible will it be to play offline in the future, if at all?
Yeah, so I'll go. It's a long question. I'll go through it point by point. So first of all, yes, in 2020 we were still streaming quite a lot of data, all the world data, which is the largest amount of data in the sim right now. That's 3 petabytes. That was all streamed. What we moved to the cloud is now 2 terabytes of non-terrain data, which is like the planes and some airports, characters and stuff like that. It is important to know, so something which is maybe not clear is that if you, for example, purchase a plane from the marketplace, you don't have to download it. It's going to stream, so we only download what is needed, and you don't have to have the whole very long download process in some cases. But you can still download it if you want. So you can still say, hey, in the marketplace, you can still say, oh, download it, and I don't want to stream it. I want to download it. So in that case, obviously, you have to wait at the time of download. But then you don't get it's there, right? You don't get I don't know if the internet is slow. I mean, for example, at home, I have a reliable internet. Sometimes the kids are all on the internet, and then I don't want to have a lot of bandwidth used when they're on TV or whatever. You can download some of the stuff ahead. It's going to use more disk space, and then it's going to stream less, obviously. The terrain is still going to be streamed, and the rolling cache is still there to help reduce streaming in the end. But that's an important thing, which means that some of the data can be cached. So whether it's the rolling cache or whether you want to download, force a download. But in the end, we're still going to need a connection there's always going to be some. So for example, I try to really on my computer, I try to really have a big rolling cache and really cache everything, and it's still downloading half or 0.1 megabit per second sometimes, because there's always something which is missing, like whether it's a different character or some new livery for an aircraft or something. There's always something, or a new bush type. There's always something when you fly that is missing, and so that's not possible to completely cache it all locally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Thanks, Seb. Will super ultra wide resolutions like 5120 by 1440 be fully supported in 2024?
I don't have the answer.
I can just say that I've seen the team doing things up to, what was it, 12K?
Yes, but I don't know if this is doable with the final version.
So what happens if you have a TV that goes, a monitor that goes this high? You can probably select it, right?
Yes, but I don't have there's no limitation on resolutions. It should adapt, but I'm not trying myself.
Okay, so maybe something we
We'll
can
get back
also
to it. We had that in the
dig
past.
into later.
We had that. I don't know the reason why we shouldn't get that.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't want to say something wrong.
Understood. Okay, seeing in chat a lot, will AMD FSR3 be supported in 2024?
I don't know. Do you know, Martial?
To be honest, I didn't get the question.
The FSR3 stuff.
Oh, well, we're working on that. Yes, all the new system from AMD or NVIDIA.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when exactly it's going to be ready, but we want to implement all the latest tech.
Yeah. Clarification question about online access. What does happen if a server goes down? Do you lose access to most of the game? What's gonna be like the user experience?
So it happened to me quite a few times. So the first, I would say probably 30 seconds, you don't notice anything. And then after 30 seconds, maybe a minute, you get a little warning saying internet connection slow. And then after another 30 seconds or so, I think there's some message boxes saying, hey, internet connection is down, or something. So
Okay.
it's if it's a quick interruption, you don't feel anything. It doesn't, unless maybe you're at the moment where you launch the sim, right? Where like when it's trying to check accounts or stuff like that. But once you're flying, I mean, there's pretty much nothing going on. We have a so for those people who sometimes in the dev mode like to display the bar on the right, which has the FPS and like main thread and whatever Korean GT. There's one new display in there, which is the bandwidth, which just shows you how much the sim is downloading at any time. And I mean, when I'm flying, I'm at Heathrow right now. It's pretty much always 0. So that means that if the internet goes down, you will not notice for a moment. Yeah, it just jumped up to 5, back to 0. So maybe some new livery came in, and it's really only when something changes that it's doing requests. So I would say so there's going to be weather, live traffic requests, all these things.
Even
But
missions.
Slow, nothing's going to happen. But if after a minute or so there's nothing, you're going to end up having like a window. Yeah. You need to be online at some point to fly.
Yeah. So with this new technology, getting a question, will that kind of erase any black avionics issues on Xbox with how things are streamed?
So with the additional, so the black avionics was mostly, I think, it used to be a big issue on S and X, and then I think we made it better on X. On S, it's still an issue. With the 500 more megs, with the 2 more gigs on both platforms for the virtual memory that we now have on Xbox, on plus the streaming of the textures, and the bitmaps, plus the LOD streamings, we hope it's going to be much better in the end. So we'll see. But normally we have a lot more optimization memory in 24 than in 2020. So.
Next live question. How are you making the 2024 load times faster than 2020? So I suppose high-level overview of how you were able to make that happen.
Okay, so there's quite a few elements. First of all, there's only one planet now. In 2020, the main menu had a planet where you can go over the world and select the position. It was a completely different technology than the in-sim planet. And so when you can select an airport and fly, we had to delete this thing out of the memory and create a whole new planet and start loading the new planet for when you fly. So that was already taking some time. I think it was actually most of the loading time. And now it's a shared, it's one only planet, which is cool because in the world map, when you browse the world, you really get the actual what you see in the sim. So you have the New York is all photogrammetry, and you see the shadows, and you see the clouds, and it's exactly you see the boat traffic, you see everything. You see the airport terminals. It's the same world, and you can zoom in, and then when you click fly, all it has to do, the plane is very often already there. All it has to do is just zoom in the camera, and you're there. So that's one thing. And the other is, as I explained before, we only now stream or load the LODs on the meshes and on the textures that are actually seen. So very often, for a 4K texture, very often maybe you only see 1K. 4K is not seen because it's too far away. And so we will only load the 1K if we don't need the 4K right now.
Okay. Thanks, Seb. All right. Got lots of topics to go through. So we're going to go to topic number 2. We're going to answer some world and weather questions. So if you have a world or weather question, feel free to ask in chat. In the meantime, I'll get started on these questions. All right, the first one, will cloud and weather depiction be improved in 2024? For example, the feeling of velocity as you fly through the clouds, cloud layers, structures, etc.
So there's a...
Sorry.
That was not me.
My dog.
There's a few improvements. So on 2024, we have new cirrus clouds. We have a new, the scattering has been redone, which computes the 3D fog, the 3D clouds, the 3D haze, the 3D, all that's been redone. No more line on the horizon. The lighting has been redone. So the sun now, when it hits a piece of cloud, it actually does little, like ray marching, little samples through the atmosphere. So if the atmosphere, if the rays coming from space, then it goes upper atmosphere. If it stays in the upper atmosphere before touching cloud, it's going to be brighter than if it goes to the lower atmosphere, where it becomes maybe more brown or so. We have improved the cloud connection to the live weather service. So now, I was just in New York again this morning. There was again a big bad weather. And so it's in 2020, a big thunderstorm over New York would be still white sky and very, very, very low density clouds. And now it's really big clouds, which means that the question which is just after there about turbulence, if you fly through these very thick clouds, it's a lot more turbulence, obviously. I think the cloud rendering resolution has been slightly improved. Not yet to the, detail of the exact. The number of samples even if you double, we would double the cost, but we would still get just a little bit more grain and fluffiness in the clouds. So I think that's been pushed up a little bit, but it's not a very, very large visual improvement compared to the cost. So we didn't push that too far. And it's just...
New weather effects like auroras, sorry?
Oh, yes. Auroras. We have tornadoes.
Yeah.
And importantly, the interaction with the sky and the world, right? The wind on the trees, on the bushes, on grass, on water, that's all been improved. So that's also very important.
Yeah. So you mentioned tornadoes. Do they spawn in live weather, or is this only for missions, or what?
So I think what my understanding was that we don't quite yet have a reliable data source for tornadoes live.
No, we don't.
So we have them in missions, and we could spawn them, but as soon as we get something where we are sure that because they're not like very long-lasting events. So.
No, so we looked into this both with our weather provider and some other entities. Let's say, you can't predict what tornadoes are. It's just if you would have that data, that you would save some people's lives, right? So that would be cool. But so there is an array that we are talking about hooking into that gives us a better resolution, but it's only North America. So there is no worldwide great satellite system that actually tracks this stuff. It's something, if we do it, it's going to be a sustained feature post-launch.
Okay. All right, live question. Will there be a working weather radar?
Still on the backlog catalog.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Next question, will thermal simulations be improved? As someone who loves gliders in 2020, I would love for this to be better in 2024.
Yes, so some part of the thermal simulation was due to was, some weakness of thermals was linked to what I explained before, the bad connection between the clouds and the live weather service. So in live weather, we should see improved thermals. And then I think we did quite a lot of optimizations. We've added the wake turbulence, but that's not thermal, that's more turbulence.
Mhm.
And the turbulences are more, intense in clouds. If they are big clouds, like if they're very thick. Not that much in light clouds. I've personally flown in a small plane through light clouds. You barely, when you see the little drops on the windshield, but you don't really feel anything in any bump or anything. If the cloud is very light, obviously. And that's, I think, about it right now.
Okay.
So there was a question about historical weather. Can you talk to it real quick?
So what I understand right now is that we have historical weather. We have historical live world for 24 hours. It's
Nice.
not just weather, right, Marcel?
Yeah, exactly.
So the painful thing where if you wanted to play live before, it had to be now. And if you always come back from work at home and 9 o'clock in the evening, you always fly at night. If you want to fly live at home, that is gone now. You can stay in live and move the slider for 24 hours
Nice.
into the past, and you get live weather, live traffic, live boats, like live everything, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Can
Yeah,
we
that's huge.
then can we hop on some others, because we're diverting in some other areas. So Seb, Marcel, windshield wipers.
So it's working.
We didn't talk about it at the
Okay.
preview event, but it's working. Yeah.
They wipe off rain.
Yeah.
That's
They do.
exciting. That's
And then
exciting.
Seb, somebody was asking about night lighting improvements. You want to talk about color temperature and whatnot?
Yeah. So we basically did a big pass over the whole lighting engine, and all the light. So it was already PBR. It was also already physically correct and everything. But for example, in the editor, you could create lights and just enter random values, and it's very easy to very quickly get light values which are off. And so now we have in the SDK, there's a tool when you create a light, you can have temperature and everything is photometric. And we applied the same for the sun, for the moon, for aircraft lights, and for the whole night lighting in the streets. And so the whole city night lighting has been updated with improved color temperature and improved intensities, which are now photometric.
That's cool. Thank you so much. Will AutoGen buildings be getting a refresh in the new sim?
So initially we wanted to do that. It's still on progress. So I don't know exactly what will be the status of the textures when they were not launched.
I mean, but I want to say this here because we have not talked about. We are no longer working with Black Shark, and actually haven't in a few years. The idea is that the system is going to be rewritten at Asobo.
Okay.
Because it was just too limited. It didn't work for what we wanted. So, but this is definitely on the roadmap.
Okay, great. Which bespoke airports will be included with each edition?
Okay. So we launched 2020 with 30 airports, and then I think there were 5 extra in the premium, the deluxe, and 5 extra in the premium deluxe. So that was 40. And then I think we added 5 for the Game of the Year edition, and then another 4 real airports with the 40th anniversary edition, and we did a bunch of heliports and all that stuff. Anyways, and then we had obviously world updates and city updates and all that stuff. If you calculate it all up, there's 160 airports. We opted not to make new ones, or very few, like we did at Grand Canyon Airport and things like that, but small stuff. Instead, focus all of our energy into making them look as good as the new tools allow. So Gaia is doing all this work. So we'll obviously note all the new tech. Gaia has taken on the work to make all the airports look great, and that includes new buildings, new lighting, all the ground materials are different, all the ground markings are different, all that stuff. So that is what we want to do, and I think that's the best way for us to go into the new sim and not step on too many third parties' toes, quite frankly, because we really kind of don't want that. We do that kind of inadvertently by doing world updates. But I think this is the right solution, which is why in that table I wrote I think it's 150 airports in the standard, and then when you see there's 5 more in the deluxe and 5 more in the premium deluxe, it's because they are from the deluxe and premium deluxe in 2020. We can't move those to standard. There's all kinds of legal reasons why we can't do that. So if you're a 2020, say, premium deluxe owner, those 10 airports will get upgraded, and that will be yours in 2024.
I see.
Or if you are a 2024 premium deluxe owner, then you get those 10 as well. So either entry point.
Okay, and they'll be updated by Gaia. Sounds like. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask a couple more weather questions and then we'll move on. But next question, is it possible to have more cloud types other than Cumulus and Cirrus, or is that a technical limitation?
Do you want to answer to that, Seb?
The thing is, right now we don't really have something like cloud types. What we have is it's more like a 3D system where I think we have 64 layers of. I mean, it's not really layers. It's 64. It's like a voxel. It's like a grid of 64 altitudes, and horizontally it has thousands. And so it's like a 3D grid, and in each case we say how much density of cloud we have and how much fluffiness we have, and then the renderer just does this ray marching thing and finds. So if you want to look at the clouds, if you want to make a TCU, all you need to do is writing ones to make the cloud go all the way up. If you want to do what is it, alto cumulus, you do the same but higher. And so the preset system has only 3 layers, but that's because when we did more, it's just for convenience to use it. Basically, if we can't really do a thing where you're gonna paint clouds in a voxel or something. So the preset system is limited, but the actual system can do what it wants. So you can actually you have probably tried to overlap the presets and stuff like that. And so what we did is we improved the way the layers work, and the Cirrus is actually just a way to make with the system at the top. It was very hard to make Cirrus because we don't have one grid case is too big, and every Cirrus is always going to be an alto cumulus. And so we changed it so that we could have very, very thin and very stretched clouds. So the technology allows to do almost everything. It's really just the preset system which is a little bit limited, and then the data we get, but that has been really improved, right? We also get 64 layers from the live weather, and so that should be much better than it used to be.
Okay. And with that system, does that correlate to the wind, or is the cloud system separate from wind?
For the live weather, I think we also get 64 layers of wind. So I mean, correlate.
Okay.
I don't know the cloud. Yeah, the wind pushes the clouds, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Last question I'll ask for weather. With the weather presets, will we be adding anything in like a slider to control visibility for things like visibility training?
I don't remember. So I've seen fog. I've seen more fog now because so what we've added is that. So we have 2 types of visibilities, right? We have one which is the actual air quality, which is particles, and that I mean when you have 500-meter visibility, it's actually humidity. It's some fog or some cloud. It's unless there's a big fire or something. It's that, and so that we now do. I think that's been improved. If there is fog, we now use the lower the cloud layer to do that. And I've seen fog a few times already over our area, but I don't know on the presets. I was already doing it in the past by using one of the 3 layers, putting it at the bottom, stretching it up, and making it very transparent. but I don't know if that works as well.
Okay.
We
So
don't
the-
have a
the-
slider which is visibility, because that, I mean, when you have a 3D cloud system, there is no such thing as, oh, I can only see at 1 kilometer. Usually when they say that, it's on ground level. But as soon as you go up, you quickly got above the clouds or something. It's not the whole space around Earth which has a 1 kilometer visibility. So that's why such a slider doesn't make much sense, and why they didn't do it. We only have this particle slider, and but live weather now has you get a lot more haze and fog that I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. Will 2024 receive world updates and city updates? If so, will they also be released day and date for 2020?
Check.
Check. Awesome. Thanks, York. All right, we are going to move on to topic number 3, peripherals and settings questions. So for any peripheral questions or settings, feel free to ask now. We'll start with the first question. Will all SIM hardware and peripherals that are compatible with 2020 also work with 2024?
Yes, they will. And well, we already talked about that during a previous dev session. So it's now easier. Well, we are getting a new system that allows users to do the settings per planes or per category of planes. So we will also deliver some presets for the most popular devices. And as I said last time, we've got a fully customized system, and it comes with we've got a tool that allows people to share and to expose the inputs and the setup that they've done. It also allows manufacturers to do their own setups when they will sell new devices. So it should be more easy now to get some setup from external sources.
Okay, great. All right, first live question. Is it planned to incorporate Honeycomb hardware for Xbox Cloud Gaming? And they also asked about keyboard and mouse controls for Xbox Cloud Gaming support.
So I can answer, Jörg. I don't know if you want to answer to that. So this is related to Microsoft, so maybe you should.
Yeah. Well, keyboard and mouse is coming. I think we've postponed it to February, March, I think. That's the last I heard.
Maybe I don't have this planning in
Yeah.
well,
We
I don't
looked
know the
into
planning
it.
by heart.
Yeah.
And regarding the other kind of inputs, it's also linked to the capacity of the platform.
Yeah, we were waiting for the platform team to get this done.
Mm.
Then the platform team actually released it, but it came at a time and we were like, we were feature locking. So it's been looked into, but it's not going to be that launch. So it's going to be n number of months after launch, but we're doing it.
Okay.
So for the moment, it's only the gamepad.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
touch.
At that time.
Next question. Can I import all my settings, preferences, keybinds, etc. from 2020, or will I need to set up all of that again?
So unfortunately, you will have to set up again, because the way we are doing things is so different that there is no way to translate one to the other.
No problem. Next question we have. Will all controls that exist on specific planes be automatically exposed so we can assign a button for anything that exists in the cockpit? For example, firefighting plane has a button to release water in 2020, but there's nothing in the settings currently.
So yes, this is exactly how it works. It's reading in the file configuration of the planes what are the SINVAR that has to be exposed to the inputs. And so regarding the plane you have, you can bind like let's say the same buttons to different usage regarding the plane you're going to fly with. So this is exactly how it works for the plane that can do the firefighting things. With I'm sorry, I don't have the English for that. And you can use the exact same button for using the hook when you need a hook for some of the missions. So everything is edited, can be tweaked per plane.
Okay, got it. Will 2024 get dedicated force feedback support?
Not yet. We are still waiting for devices on the topic.
Okay.
Well, we know that we have got all devices that were working in the past, but it's not. We need new stuff with new device, the new hardware, and new way of communication with the systems.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully, something will come soon.
Yeah. Kind of already answered this. I don't know if there's anything to add, but will there be VR support? Will it be improved over the current implementation, and will it be available from day one?
So it will be available in day one. So we did some optimization already. For instance, in 2020, it was the render thread that was a little bit the bottleneck. So we improved that a lot using some tech like a single pass instance or. So as I said earlier, our goal is to have the same kind of ratio between 2D and VR. So you shouldn't get any surprises on that.
Will we have automatic profiles for aircrafts? I guess automatic different profiles for different aircraft?
Oh, for inputs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yes, this is how the system is working. Depending of the category of the plane, it will switch from one setup of inputs to another. And if you want to have a very neat tweak on one plane, one specific plane, you can add some specific setup for per plane. So by default, let's say that you're flying with the gliders, it will take the glider presets by default, but you can still do some tweaking on top of that.
Okay, great. Will non-VR head tracking like TrackIR, Tobii Eye Tracker 5, etc. be supported in 2024?
They are supported.
Absolutely. Awesome. Will my logbook and flight hours from 2020 carry over to 2024?
I'm very sorry, it won't be the case. We are using two different texts and two different title setups, and the one will not communicate with the other.
Okay.
So no, very sorry about that.
Will 2024 work better with external touch monitors, and will pop-out instruments still have FPS drops like in 2020?
I don't know how to answer to that.
We'll save that question for next time.
Yes, yeah. To be honest, I haven't tried any touchscreen on Flight Sim yet.
Okay. Do you plan to improve Tobii Eye Tracker implementation by adding camera boost support, for example?
I can't answer to that today.
I know they're in touch.
Yes.
We can tell them.
Certainly. Okay, so next question is, will we be able to make local backup save of things like our settings and joystick profiles in case cloud save fails? Can we export and import our profiles?
So everything is server-based. So it has some good advantages to that. Like I'm using that all the time because I'm switching from my Xbox to my PC. And this will be also cross-platform, so everything will be shared. So we are trying as much as we can to improve this technology. And so by default, all the logbooks and the setup would be server-based. The only thing that you can, I was talking about the inputs. The input can be exported using the dev options and shared. So the export and import profile for controllers, this will work.
Okay.
For the logbooks, it will be server side.
Okay. Will logbook entries work when you're in dev mode for 2024?
With dev mode, I don't know. I don't think it is.
Okay, so works similarly to 2020, possibly.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, there's so many questions, everyone. So apologies if we, don't get to yours in each segment, but there will definitely be more of these Q&As to answer as many questions as we can. But we are going to move on to some core feature questions. So if you have a question about a core feature, feel free to ask now. All right, first question. Will 2024 support online ATC networks like VATSIM and Pilot Edge and IVAO?
It should work exactly like Flight Sim 2020 was working.
Okay, great. What you have made abundantly clear is that AI aircraft traffic will be much better representing their real-life counterparts, and that is really great. But I have questions to that point. Will we see an improved behavior from these AI vehicles? For example, planes no longer driving through one another, or ground vehicles not stopping when an airplane passes?
So there's two things here. So yes, we have tried to improve and to have a better ground services.
Mhm.
And on top of that, this is also related to the addition of airports. So the ground services are using the information that we've got per airports, and sometimes we've got some weird things there. So we have the World Hub that will help people to do some additions, and we are thinking about bringing that to Flight Sim 24 in order to have a better addition on those.
Okay. What ATC improvements can we expect in 2024 onward?
George, do you want to answer to that?
I mean, there are some. Asobo made improvements, Working Title making improvements. I think what we're going to do is actually probably bring in one of those guys in a future session. So there have been improvements. I would say, if that's on your mind, the things that Say Intentions or Beyond ATC is currently trying to do, we looked at it and we're not doing this at launch. It's good ideas that they have, so we're curious how good that all works.
Mm-hmm.
But there are improvements, but let's have Chris and somebody from Asobo actually walk us through it.
Okay, cool. Something to look forward to. All right. Next question. What improvements can we expect? Oh, sorry. Next, will I see flight effects of other players in multiplayer?
So you will see some. It's related to the tech that we have. We are doing duplication of planes, and the planes which are duplicated are reading the information from the network, and then we are running a light simulation on those. So if we've got some effects that are generated by complex systems, they won't be displayed. But with some exceptions, like with it would be great to see all the constraints from all the other planes. So we did some specific replication on things like contrails.
Awesome. And kind of related, will you see other players' avatars in multiplayer when they're walking around their plane, doing run-ups, etc., near you?
No, this is not supported yet.
Just in the cockpit.
Yes.
Just in the cockpit. Okay.
You will see your avatar if you take some pictures. For instance, if you leave your planes and want to take a walk, then if you take some pictures, you will see your avatar, but not the others.
Okay. All right. Can you talk about wear and tear and different failures? Will free flight have wear and tear features and persistence, or is it limited to career?
So yes, you will have some wear and tear. For instance, if you land on a muddy area, you will see the wear and tear and the bud on the tires, for instance. But it will not be stored and saved. The persistent plane is only for the carrier so far.
Okay, understood. All right. Big question. What is the state of shared cockpit implementation and its target in 2024?
We talked about it. I mean, at the preview event with some press folks. So basically, a prototype was made. It looks promising, but it's not ready. It's complicated. Lots of things that need to be looked into. So it's something we heard, right? It's on the feedback snapshot, yada, yada, yada. So it's clear, but it's not ready.
Okay. Is walk-around mode available in free flight?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's available everywhere.
Okay.
And an important note is when we say walk around, that means that if you start in the sim in the air, you're in the aircraft. If you start on the runway, the aircraft is running and you're sitting in the aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
If you start on the taxi, the aircraft is cold and dark and you are outside and you have to do pre-flight outside. So that's what many people understood. Yeah, you have now pre-flight, you can go outside. But at any time when you're flying, if you land, you can click on the door, go outside, walk around in the forest, wherever, on the beach, come back, click the door, go back into the aircraft, go back out, go back in. So it's not just the pre-flight, which is now out where you can go outside. It's just anytime you can, if you click on the door handle of any aircraft, you go outside or back inside at any time.
Cool.
I mean, not in the air though. That's
Yeah.
Oh well, we had a bug on which you could do that. Like it was only on runways, but
Yeah, that's funny.
wow.
Okay, have improvements been made to the camera system? For example, will Camera API become available for devs?
Well, I've got to check that and to give more information on the next Q&A.
Okay, I'll mark that one. For
I know we've been
I can
working on
speak
that
a little bit.
What-
I mean, like, so
Okay.
obviously there's Chase Cam and whatnot. We talked to Edson and team.
Mhm.
We actually sent them some docs. They sent us some feedback. So
Yes.
there's an active discussion going on.
Nice. Okay.
But I don't have. Well,
With
let me gather some information on exactly where we are.
okay. Speaking of cameras, will there be tower and flyby camera views in 2024?
Tower and
Tower and
Tower.
flyby camera views.
no, it's not spotted yet.
Okay.
but we have a new camera, which is so if you're in the pause screen, so when you press
That's
pause
right.
now, so first of all, you see your aircraft and there's a camera traveling around, and in there's a new option which is called FreeCam, and so in the pause screen you can now have a sort of a camera which allows to travel around. It's a little bit like the one which was in the camera menu, but it's I would say much better.
Okay.
And it tends to get very fast when you go high in the air, and you can go very, very high. You can go up to, I mean, very, very high. And but you can also go low, walk close to the ground and stuff. So that's a new camera, which is really cool. And with that camera, you can go into the tower and watch the sim from the tower. Like
That's right.
it's more convenient than the cameras we had before. So
Okay.
it's much more convenient. So we don't have a tower camera, we don't have a flyby, but this one is still a new one, which is a really cool way to explore or to just look at the world from a different position.
Okay.
And what's cool on top of that is that we are displaying the navigation path. So you will have your flight plan, and you can exactly explore when you're going to fly and where you're going to land, and everything is displayed to explain where you should be flying.
Cool. Okay.
And for what it's worth, just to add to this, right? As some of you probably know, Fabio is working on the flight control replay system. That is going to get integrated, I think, this week. It's all ready to go.
The package has been integrated yet.
Yeah.
So it's done.
Yeah, well, it's this week actually. So I just
Yes.
and he talked to me quite a bit about flyby cameras and tower cameras and whatnot. So I would say let's put out what we have with the new camera system and see if people actually still really want this. But is it doable? Sure.
Okay. All right. Will there be multiplayer improvements like increased group sizes, etc., since it's been said private servers will not be an option?
I'll give you more details. Things have changed, but I don't have the numbers actually. So
Okay, so it might be updated.
yes,
All right.
please.
Will there be better voices in that don't sound as robotic from the ATC?
Oh yeah. You go.
Yeah, well, we're using some new technologies in order to have different ATCs, variances, languages also. So you will, if you're flying over France, for instance, you will get some French, if you want to, French version of the ATC. And regarding the voice, we've got very cool features, I think. You can also customize the voice that your avatar will have, and you can use yours. I mean, you just have to be recorded for a little bit, and then your voice will be used for communicating with the tower and for all communications. And this is super cool.
That's all Microsoft tech.
Yes.
And I can say with voice, this is just going to improve over time. So I think we have a ton more voices for ATC and much more variety, and they will get better and better over time. It's called neural voice. It's really cool. So can't wait for you to try it.
That's cool. That's awesome. All right. So next question I have is, when you're in the walk around mode, will you be able to switch between first and third person views to see your avatar?
No, there's no such thing as a third-person view, so it will be always a first view. You will see your avatar in third view if you use the camera. When you want to take some pictures.
Yeah.
So then you can have a cool view of your avatar next to your plane, for instance, showing some good landscape, some POIs, everything. But there's no, you can't move in third view with your avatar.
Someone wants to know if you can use other people's voices like yours, Jorg.
Yes, you
You
can.
don't want that. Did we ever talk about this with the ATC voice is? It's our audio director.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you don't want to use people that you know. 'Cause I look at him differently now.
That's
I'm like,
funny.
really? Yeah.
That's funny. Last question about the walk around. Is the distance where you can walk around limited to like where your plane is at?
No, it's not. If you want to have a track, you can. It's exactly like the camera that Seb was talking about. You can explore the whole planet with it.
And so there's I think there's an option to teleport back to your aircraft, right, Marcel?
Yes, if you
Okay.
you just have to
Because-
press.
Because before that option happened, I actually once landed with a helicopter on a helipad in New York, walked out, fell down the building, and couldn't get back up. So that's a very important option. So
Yeah. Will the replay functionality you just mentioned earlier also be available for Xbox?
Definitely.
Nice. Okay.
That's one of the coolest things about it.
Will model matching be improved?
Yes.
We have a ton more models.
Yes.
Yeah.
The system has changed, and we've got more models.
We literally, I don't know the final count. Versus, I think we're currently modeling some Pipers because I think our Piper contract was signed. So last number I saw was 91%. Maybe we'll get to 92% accuracy on models.
It's also the beauty of being able to stream things, right? You can get an access to a limited model if we have time and money to do the modelization of everything.
Yeah.
And rights also.
I mean, we haven't shown that many airport pictures. Airports look and feel completely different now. It's really cool because you have a lot more real liveries, almost all the real planes. It's very authentic.
Yeah.
Materials have changed also, even on the tracks.
Next question. Will we have HDR controls finally in 2024?
We've got HDR. I don't know exactly what it means to get HDR control. So please, Jen, put that on the list.
Okay, I will. All right, we have a question about units of measurements. Will they be revamped? As in, can we choose individual units for each measurement instead of grouping all of them into metric, US, customary, or hybrid?
I think this has been done, but I don't know exactly what the status of this feature.
Yeah, we wrote it down a few Dev Q&As ago as a thing.
Yes,
it came up. Yep.
So no, I don't have exactly the status of that for tweaking every single unit. Well, I will come with more details. To be honest, I'm always using nodes, and basically it's what we are doing in the aviations. Nobody is using the metric system for at least for navigations and speed. So I'm not playing with that much.
Yeah.
But I will check that.
Okay. Last question. They meant to say HDR calibration settings as far as their screens go. So
Just
we
a
still
value.
We can still note that.
We'll just
later.
need to look at that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So next
That
question.
makes sense.
In July 2027, or sorry, July 2022, CFG's files for Deluxe, Premium, Deluxe airports were unlocked, allowing the community to create great mods, improving the quality of different planes. Can we expect the same functionality?
It's a good question. Spiritually, we want to do this, but they're now streamed down. Let's put this down for the next time. We'll follow up.
Okay, no problem. Have there been improvements made to airport ground vehicles to stop them from going on runways, etc.?
Oh, I think I've answered to that question. Well, might not be clear enough. So yes, we did a lot of improvement on the ground services, but sometimes it's also related to the addition of the airports. We've got some path and stuff like that, and sometimes when we collecting information for airports, you can get that kind of situation. So that would mean that we have to improve the quality of the edition itself, and this is why we have World Hub to allow the community to do that.
Well, we can talk
sorry.
We can talk about this. We currently have a pretty big effort going on at Orbex to go through all the airports, like 40,000. I'm not sure they're going to get to all of them because we prioritize them based on traffic. But yeah, pretty major effort going on right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for answering tons of questions in our core feature section.
You think we're done with questions? Oh no, there's more questions.
Still more to go with that, but
there's 7 topics just to prepare you.
I know. Let's talk about career mode. All right, if you have any career mode questions, feel free to ask in chat now. Okay, first one. You said that if we crash our own plane in career mode, then it's lost. What happens if there's an internet outage or software crash in the middle of a mission? How does the sim handle such a situation? Will we lose a plane because of that?
So it can also be damaged. But so no, we are only handling that kind of situation when we are computing the forces and the effect of the crash. So it means that if you've got a software crash, probably you won't. Or if you've got like internet outages or something like a power cut, it will give you no effects on your plane. It's really the result of the physics that gives the damages to the plane.
Okay. And can you go into a little more detail what you just said about aircraft can be damaged in career mode?
They can, yes.
Well, not visibly, but
yes.
But there's the results tree. I mean, if you completely just hammer it on the runway and damage your gear, yeah, there's going to be there's a reaction to that. That's not in the first loop of the career because you are an employee and basically the company that you fly for, the fictional company you fly for, will pay for the damage. But
yes,
once you own your own stuff.
It will ruin your reputation if you do.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
It has some consequences, but if you own your planes, you will also get some consequences of the planes that you have in your company.
Okay, got it. Live question: will you be able to completely reset career mode if you want to start over?
Yes, it's an option that is available.
Okay. All right. Do you have to go through all the trainings and check rides to get to career missions, or can you skip any part of it?
Yeah, you can skip it. So the career mode is working by certifications. I don't know if you see the tree that has been shown during the GP. And on each tree, each node, you have to pass a certification, which is most of the time a very short flight showing that you've got all the skills requested for the usage of certain aircrafts. So on every certification, it comes with some trainings. But if you're good enough, if you're skilled enough, and if you already like a consumer, you don't have to go through to do the trainings, and you can pass the certifications like in one click. So if you already know how to fly all those planes, it will be super fast and super quick to you to get access to complex missions like the firefighting things or any others that are requesting some knowledges.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you. Live question. Can I own a company along with my friends?
No, you can't.
It's single player.
Yes.
Okay, so you can own your own company solo.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Is character creation just for career mode?
Oh no, it is not. You will create your character as soon as you launch the sim for the first time, and this character is used for every purposes. It is representing yourself in all modes. You will see him piloting the plane.
Mm.
And same as for the carrier, you will be able to do some adjustment, change it, and modify your avatar later in the game, of course.
Okay, cool. Can I have a personal hangar of my places with tail number and livery that gets saved, and can I fly those places in free flight?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So, can I have a personal hangar of my places with a tail number and livery that gets saved, and can I fly those places in free flight or just career mode? I'm
not
trying
sure
to
I'm
understand the
getting
question.
Yes.
So your own hangar in free flight is kind of what I'm getting from this.
So there's a system of hangar that depends on the place you're going to fly, and there you will see your plane, the one that has been selected in it.
Mm-hmm.
And during the missions, there's a dynamic systems that populates the hangar regarding the activity you're going to get. So there's something like that, but a giant hangar with all your planes and liveries, we don't have that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Could career mode be started from almost any airport, including third-party airports?
It's not about that. Good.
Well, it's so there's you can select airports everywhere in the world. I don't think it's all the airports because they have to be compliant with the activity you're going to do.
Mhm.
So you will not be able to select a very small airport with just one field to start with the carrier. But after that, once you're in a carrier, there's a system like a fog of war on which you're going to extend
Mm-hmm.
the places you're going to fly, and this is covering the world like in free flight.
Okay.
But it's a lot. It's many, right?
Well,
It's not based on a selection which was manually done. It's just rules. There has to
Yes.
be a runway. There has to be it can't be just a barn in a field, or whatever.
It's the carrier system that does that. On every kind of missions, you will be offered some missions, and the missions are following some constraints. Let's say, like, if you want to do some firefighting, it has to be next to a fire that has been created. And if you want to do some aerial advertising, most of the time you're going to do that next to a beach. So there's plenty of constraints, and the carrier system services is computing the places on which you can start the mission and where you have to go. So when you start the mission, you also have to be compliant with the constraints that you need to have for starting the carrier.
Okay. Got it. So with career mode, will it get updated with new missions, sceneries, and POIs when a world update comes out?
So
I think the answer is not directly. So world updates will update POIs at airports, but the career update will be separate.
yes, but every time we will update the carrier system, it will be a system that will take into account the new state of the world. So let's say that if you want to bring a new activity, or if we got a good new POIs on one side of the planet, we could relaunch the computation of the carrier systems, the mission systems. So it will create some new systems taking into account the changes that we've done on the world.
Okay.
Everything is dynamic, so it's just a matter of recreating things.
Yeah.
So it won't happen every day, but it will.
Okay. Can we use third-party planes or helicopters in career mode if the features they have are compatible with mission tasks?
So yes, but this is under conditions. So we've got a system that analyzes the aircraft when it's going to be put on the store, on the store in game, and this analyzer is giving the right to use, and it's checking if the aircraft is compliant. It's giving you the right to use the planes or the helicopter during the missions. So let's say that if you want to do some aerial advertising, you need a hook. So it will check that the plane provides a hook, for instance. And if it's the case, then the plane is put into the system. It can be selected as the one that we've got by default.
Okay, very cool. And on that note, will third-party devs be able to create mods that add different career paths and expand upon the current system?
For the moment, no, because the carrier mode is really server-based. So we have to figure some text to let people doing some mission like that. But this is not for day one.
Okay. Awesome. All right. We are running a little over, so we're going to get to our next one with some general questions. All right. Number 1. Which items from the feedback snapshot and development roadmap will be implemented in 2020, and which items will be deferred to 2024?
Yeah, I said that last time that I will go make a pass. There are goals to bring certain features back when possible to 2020, but we haven't separated the two reports yet. We'll do that in the coming weeks.
Okay, perfect. Will there be a public open beta before the release on November 19th?
No, there will be a alpha, but there are some technical things we need to test. Like the various services need to be tested. That information will come out pretty soon. But I would expect it somewhere in late October.
Yeah. Live question: is expected to let freeware devs join the marketplace?
Probably yes. We just worked through some stuff with our lawyers. So there will be some news here soon. I just need to go double click on a few things.
Okay. No problem. Cool. Will famous flyers and local legends be upgraded to 2024?
So they are being changed. I would say over time, that's the goal, but not at launch.
Okay.
I mean, for example, the ATR that Hans showed earlier, the ATR there is a 2024 version full in. But for a lot of the other ones, like, I don't know, like the Fokker F7, we have not done that yet. But as you know, we'll update. We've been updating every plane over time. By the way, we'll do that with the 707 as well, because I keep reading about it. So, yes, at some point we will go make sure that they're all using the latest and greatest.
Cool. Will the SDK open up to allow more types of products to be developed? Chase plane, camera views, weather software like ActiveSky, and tools such as Auto FPS?
I mean, this is not it's not really the SDK question only. I would say we talked about the camera system many times. Weather is something we had talked about last time, I think. We'll just have to look at it. I mean, right now, honestly, we are 8 weeks out. We have to go make everything tidy, and then we'll talk about some of these things again. Okay. But again, I feel good about the active conversation we have, for example, with Parallel 42.
Right. Awesome. Talking about backcountry flying, has the float plane water physics been improved at all?
Ooh. Seb, this is for you.
Yes. So in 2020 the water physics was kind of strange because there was a nice water shader which was displaying nice waves, and then the water physics were pretty much those of FSX with sine wave generated waves. And so if you set the weather to the wind to maybe 5 knots or so, it was almost matching, but sometimes not. And if you had a 20-knot wind, it was completely off. So so we removed this completely, and the physics are now actually really looking at the same waves than the ones you see visually, which means that you now really need to pay attention. Like the Icon has a wave height limit of 20 centimeters. That's like that's like 10 inch, not even. You really need to look at that, because if you land with the Icon and now 2 foot of waves, you're gonna bounce off a wave. If you're unlucky, you're gonna have a very hard time to land, and it's gonna be almost impossible to take off. So yes, this has been way improved, and affects takeoff ranges and hard landings on water and all that. Yeah.
Cool. And with float planes, someone asked, will you be able to pick and choose to start in the water instead of high above in an altitude, cold and dark? Same with just other locations to start cold and dark from anywhere on the world.
I've got to check that,
Okay.
to be honest.
That one for next time. Okay. Has the P-factor propeller torque been improved for single-engine aircraft on takeoff?
So I think that's a little bit of a when you take off on a single engine or on a dual engine on any propeller, you don't just have P factor, right? There's quite a few different effects. So P factor, if I remember, is exactly the fact that the blade, when it goes up, when it spins, the lower part and the higher part don't have the same angle of attack. That, yes, with all the planes that use the modern physics that was done in 2020, modern propeller physics, have that. And if the propeller is well implemented, that should work. There's quite a few other effects which happen when you take off, not just the P factor. There's also the stream coming out of the propeller, which is spinning around the aircraft and hitting the aircraft. On the Cessna, it's hitting the wings and the tail and the horizontal vertical tail. That is completely working if the aircraft, so all the aircraft that have the CFD, which is, I think, in 2024 all.
Yeah.
Then there's also a torque on the engine or on there's that effect. The important thing is on 2024, we have a all new process where we go in and measure these kind of things on aircraft. So not all, obviously, we can't go out on a 747, but quite a lot of them. And we retuned many aircraft to have these effects improved and more realistic. I would say it doesn't just feel realistic now, it's actually the data confirms that it's realistic.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Ed. All right. There's lots of questions, but we need to move on to topic 7, marketplace and ownership questions. I'm seeing some of these right now, so hopefully it'll cover. Will marketplace purchases have to be re-downloaded and reinstalled from Content Manager after install 2024, or will they be instantly available?
So the content will be available to stream immediately, no action on the user's part. If you want to download the content, then you have to go to something called My Library, which used to be called Content Manager.
Okay. Got it. All right. If I bought 2020 in Microsoft Store on 2024 in Steam, will I have the content from the marketplace? Is it compatible?
Those two things don't talk to each other.
Correct. Okay. What about add-ons purchased from third-party stores such as Orbex, SimMarket, etc.? Will they be transferable from 2020 to 2024?
Yeah. So content that it can just be copied over the community folder, just like before.
Okay. If I purchase 2020 on Steam, sorry, I already asked that question. Next question. If I purchase 2020 Premium Deluxe on Steam and buy 2024 Standard from Microsoft Store, will I get the PD planes from 2020?
If I purchase Premium Deluxe on Steam. So on the previous question, I need to go back. So the question was if I purchased on Steam and buy flights from 2024.
That's the tricky part.
So the marketplace stuff is handled by something called PlayFab. So that will be yes. So that basically transfers.
So we need to, that's the tricky part, because I don't know what will be, because we've got a unified user ID for 24, but I've got to check that.
No, but I did. So it's actually,
you did? Okay.
The answer is yes. So this is handled by PlayFab.
That was the plan, but yeah.
And then the next question, if I purchase 2020 Premium Deluxe on Steam and buy 2020 Standard, will I get the PD planes from 2020? Yes. And then I saw somewhere, are they going to be upgraded? Yes.
Okay. So platform doesn't matter where you own it. Got it. If you own one on Steam and then the Premium Deluxe on Microsoft Store.
I'll double check this. I think the answer is yes on this.
Okay. Sounds good. Oops. get a little dicey sometimes. All right. If default planes that are transferring over to 2024, will they be updated for all users, or does it depend on which edition you own?
I don't understand the question, because like when we mean default planes, if you mean standard, yeah, all standard planes on every version.
On every version will be updated. Okay. All right. That's great. Can you buy premium deluxe planes separately in 2024? Ooh, okay.
I heard that loud and clear last time, and we did that.
Okay, that's great. Will the SDK be available on launch or in a later update? Well, when will the SDK be available? I think is the question.
At launch for sure.
Yeah.
And I think there's a slide coming up where we talk about the roadmap a little bit.
And it's also the case for the dev mode. The dev mode can be triggered day one in the sim on PC.
Yeah. Okay. Now, there's some aviator questions here. I'm just seeing if they make sense. If I already have the planes from the Aviators edition in 2020, do I still pay the same price for it?
Yeah. We thought about it. I mean, honestly, the Aviator edition was my idea, and it was one of those. You know, I had a lot of people write me emails saying, "Hey, is there any way for me to own everything?" It's like, sure.
Okay.
So we made essentially a bundle of the 30 planes we've made, and I did the quick math back in the day. It was like $400 something, and I said, okay, let's just bring the price down so people can actually play with those planes if they want to. $60 upgrade. So it's a really good deal, but we don't have what we call a dynamic bundle. It's just too much chaos, you know. So yeah, if you own a few, it's up to you, right? It's totally opt-in.
Okay. Are there any other benefits to the Aviator edition besides the extra planes?
No, but it's a lot of extra planes.
Will owners of the higher level versions still receive discounts on some add-ons as 2020?
For sure.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I wanted to answer one question that I keep seeing a lot real quick. Can you walk around aircraft cabin interiors?
I don't know if walk around is the right word. What do you think, Marcel?
What is the question actually?
Can you go in the back, basically? Can you walk through the cabins?
Well, it's not the same system that the one that allows you to go out of the plane and walk, but you can have some cameras that allows you to see all the passengers and navigate in the plane.
Okay.
So it's doable, but it's not walk in it's not the same kind of interactions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Another ownership question here. If you buy the standard edition, what will be the cost to upgrade later? If you already, will there be discounts if you own 2020?
No.
Anything?
No. And then the upgrades is just like what we do in Flight Sim 2020. You can upgrade inside the sim. I've never done it, honestly, but there's upgrades from standard to deluxe, standard to premium deluxe. I think there's going to be one standard to aviator, probably deluxe to aviator. All those things exist.
Awesome. All right. I think that covers some of those questions. Ooh, that was a ton of questions and still so many more to answer in the future.
It doesn't end. So I basically talked to Jane and I said, okay, how are we going to do this from here to launch? So many questions. So this is the current plan. And so we say it's a weekly cadence almost. I want to embrace this. I talked about this in Vegas, and we talked about this quite a bit at this global preview event. We're working with many teams, and I want those teams to basically to show the passion that they put into what they've made for the sim. So this is the current plan. This might change, so don't hold us to it 100%. But the goal is that there's an SDK session next, where the SDK team, I'll show up, but the SDK team, Eric and Hugo, maybe some other people from Asobo will explain and answer questions. So that's next week. Then we have a break. That coincides with Jane not being available. And then we'll spend a few weeks having people come in, like, I don't know if you followed this, who we all work with, like people we've never really talked to here, like Hype or Miltech or like FlightFX, and there's a whole bunch of people that make planes. So those are gonna be very plane focused sessions. So please only come to those if you're interested in those aircraft in general, right? This is not a general dev Q&A or something. This is more of a plane presentation. Then the marketplace team, which is maybe watching, they don't even know this. So I basically put in a marketplace thing. It's like, hey, I think there's going to be some questions about the marketplace. So I plopped in the 10:30 session for marketplace. Then we'll do something with world partners. That will include people like, Puff and Flight maybe, because that would be nice, or Fabio. Those types of folks will come and explain their particular things, and then have one more session with the remaining plane devs, and then we launch, and then we'll have a dev Q&A after launch. That's the current plan. But honestly, this is totally flexible. We're going to read all the comments here for what it's worth. We always do that. So this might change, but this is, I'm sure, Jane, you're going to post that on the website.
Yep, will do. I hope you had got some of the answers that you were wondering about during this time, but we're not done yet, almost. There's a couple of other things to cover here.
Well, it came up earlier. I just want to say we are, just like we did before, we are intending to sustain flights in 2024 and 2020, but at slightly different rhythms. So the goal is to do monthly. World Update 19 was planned for a long time. And I just wanted to show you a few images. So it's already announced: Brazil, Guyana, French Guyana, and Suriname. Here's sort of a snapshot of the things that we've made. But I made a couple, or rather, Gaia made a couple of pictures. So let's look at those. So there's going to be 4 tin AOIs, 7 airports, 75 POIs. This is proof positive. This is actually not from Gaia. There's a picture from Bing. This is Rio. Took forever to get that scanned. Here's the Santos Dumont Airport in Rio. Actually did quite a few pictures. This one's going to be freaking amazing. Here I just took some random samplings of some POIs that I think are neat. And that all, And then there comes the Local Legend 20, which is this plane. It's the Cap 4 Palestina from INI Builds. It's a very Brazilian plane. A lot of people down there train on that plane.
We should have asked Patrick to give you some Brazilian lessons, I think.
I talked to a bunch of people in Brazil about this actually before we decided. But it all comes out December 3rd. And we actually might go to Brazil. There's Comic-Con at Brazil. Didn't know that, but there is. And that basically fills out the plane grid for this, or the release grid for this year. So we had talked about the 2 Local Legends. They moved out just due to amount of work. But I think we did well. 20 releases this year. I feel great about it. Hopefully you do too. And then I think I saw that in the chat. People already know this. Just last night, we were sitting there obsessing to make the Steam page look nice. So hopefully you like what it looks like. We added a bunch of pictures. It's kind of much better than our 20 page. And so you can start pre-ordering if you wish on Steam tomorrow.
Awesome. That is exciting. And thank you. Thank you so much
for listening to all the answers to all these questions. I'm sure there's a lot more.
Absolutely. Yes. Tune in next Wednesday for our SDK developer stream. We'll post more info about that on our socials at exactly what time it is. There is a form that's opening right now if you do want to submit a question about the SDK. So if you're a third-party developer, freeware, payware, or use dev mode a lot, and you're interested in that kind of stuff, feel free to ask a question. That way they can take a look and gather some answers for you for next Wednesday. Marcel, Sebastian, thank you so much for being here and just answering tons of questions. And of course, everybody who attended this, really appreciate it. Of course, again, apologies if we haven't answered your question yet. We are looking forward to releasing more content and information that hopefully will clear some of this stuff up for you. But 2024 is just around the corner. So
8 weeks to launch.
yeah.
8 weeks to launch. But I just want to say one more time, the
Sure.
passion and the involvement, things like this, even though it might have been long, it really shows how much you care, and I think that really fuels the
Mhm.
team. So just know that we're pushing as hard as we possibly can to make the best possible sim.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good night, good evening, good day. We will see you next Wednesday or this Friday for the Community Fly-In Friday on Twitch. All right. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.